Hey everyone. Well, a bit of a slow week in AI news, but man, even a slow week in AI is still moving like right below light speed. Today, we've got some cool updates coming out of OpenAI, and yes, there is some Sora news in there as well, plus a big audio update from Stability.ai. I've also got a look at a new portrait animator that looks really promising, and there's a new video model on the way. I'll give you all the details on that. Okay, let's dive in. Kicking off on the OpenAI side, we can now inpaint in Dall-E 3. This is kind of a long overdue feature. My bone to pick here is that while it was never specifically stated that we would have inpainting in the initial Dall-E 3 rollout, it was pretty heavily implied. But, you know, I guess better late than never. Let's take a look at how it looks because it's not as intuitive as you might think. So to be fair, I've never been a huge fan of Dall-E 3's output. I know it has its fans and it definitely has its use cases, but personally, from an aesthetic standpoint, I've just never really jived with it that much. But conversely, one of the things that I really do appreciate about Dall-E 3, especially since it's integrated into ChatGPT, is the ability to chat with your image generator. But that's also why I was a little frustrated with how this was implemented. Let's take a look. So I'm going to give ChatGPT the prompt. Please create me a photorealistic image of a piece of toast on a kitchen table. By the way, there are two types of people in the world, those that say please to an LLM and those that do not. I am one that says please. After a moment, Dall-E 3 returns us with this, which, truthfully isn't that bad an image. It's, a piece of toast apparently having a moment of divinity. Now, you would think that we could then prompt, please add a little butter to the top of that toast. But what Dall-E 3 will return is an image of toast with butter. That's actually a lot of butter. I think Gordon Ramsay would even have an issue with that much butter. But as you can see, these are two completely different images, so this is not inpainting. Instead, what you have to do is actually come up to the image itself, click on it, which will then bring you into an edit mode. From there, you actually have to move over into this selection brush where we're provided with a brush where we can change the brush size. We'll paint a little area here, which will then turn this area into an edit selection. So we'll put add a piece of butter. We can also do things like change the cup of coffee to a glass of orange juice, though why would you? It's coffee. Where we ended up with this interesting interpretation of the orange juice in a transparent mug. But weirder than that, the coffee cup appeared in my hand. So that's really fascinating technology, OpenAI. Overall, I guess it is a step forward for Dall-E 3, although it is a step that most image generators took like 7 months ago. But still, hey, welcome to the party, Dall-E 3. Sliding over to the stability side, and listen, I know there has been a ton of drama at Stability AI. We're not going to cover that here because that's like a whole video unto itself. But in the meantime, they did release an update to Stable Audio 2.0, which creates full musical tracks up to 3 minutes in length from a single prompt. The best part about it is that it's free. Well, sort of free at least. You get 20 free credits per month. Let's give it a listen with the demo prompt. This is soulful boom bap, hip hop instrumental, solemn affected piano, SP 1200, which is an old school sampling instrument, low key, swing drums, blah, blah, blah. It's not bad, and I don't hate it, but it does kind of pale in comparison to the current king of the hill in terms of AI-generated music, Suno. So Suno has just released its version 3 model wide, so even if you're on the free plan, you can now generate in version 3. So taking that exact same prompt and running it in Suno, we end up with this. I mean, yeah, Suno is king of the hill for a reason. Aside from just the overall bump in audio fidelity, you've also got instrumentation and composition choices that are much more in line with the prompted genre. That said, Stable Audio does have a secret weapon, and that's the fact that you can add your own audio in to use as an audio reference. For example, in an experiment that very much reminded me of the opening scene of It Might Get Loud, a really great documentary on guitar in which Jack White here from the White Stripes essentially explains what a guitar fundamentally boils down to. It's just a piece of string, a piece of wood, and a magnetic pickup. I'll link this scene down below if you've never seen it. It's really great. While Jordy Pons used his voice to create Foley and a soundtrack for a scene. So while obviously Suno is a step ahead in terms of music generation, I didn't even touch on the fact that you can, add singing into Suno, whereas in Stable Audio you cannot. The fact that you can audio reference in Stable Audio too is kind of a big deal, and something that I think that you'll find creative uses for if you poke at it a little bit. Rolling back over to OpenAI news, and yes, we'll get to Sora in just one second. This is kind of a smaller story, but you can now use ChatGPT 3.5 for free without even bothering to log in. Basically just go to the homepage and hit try it first, and now you can start using ChatGPT 3.5. 3.5 is still a pretty capable model, and even though I said we weren't going to cover the stability AI drama, I figured I would just feed it a news article and have it write an 8-line poem about it.
In the realm of AI's ceaseless churn, Ahmed Mostak's departure a concern. Stability's helm now finds new hands, as decentralization's clarion demands. Interim captains, steady and bold, navigate through changes, stories unfold. In the world where innovations unfurled, drama and transition, a tale of the AI world.
So there you go. We've covered the story, and now I don't need to make a whole video about it. Moving over to Sora news, the first music video created with Sora has been released. The track is called World Weight by August Camp, a musician, researcher, and creative activist. No details on the prompts used for this video, and I'm not actually running the original audio, mostly because I'm not sure if it's AI generated or not. It is a very cool ambient electronic track. To my ears, very reminiscent of Aphex Twin. If you want to hear it, it is linked down below. I'm just going to concentrate on the visuals here. Overall, I think it's pretty cool. There are definitely like those lengthy tracking shots that are, turning into a bit of a Sora hallmark. The overall aesthetic consistency is very solid. I actually do sort of wonder if this might not just be sort of two prompts mashed together for a 2-minute runtime, or if these are individual shots that are actually edited together. The light and motion blurs look really cool as well, everything obviously having a very vintage film look to it. And I presume that the film registration marks over here in this corner were generated by Sora as well. I mean, they're spelled wrong, so they're probably generated by Sora. But kind of my bigger takeaway, aside from the length of certain shots, is that there really isn't much in here that you can't already do with something like Hyper. So I looked at Hyper when it was first released. It is completely free still, but they have upgraded their model so that their HD version now generates up to 4 seconds. And obviously I'm not doing a one-to-one to the world weight video, but I mean, when you look at an output like this or like this, and then adding in some overlays from somewhere like Pixabay, where they even have some like damaged grunge textures and some glitch transition noise as well, I think that you can more or less attain your own version of this. As a quick temperature check, because I am kind of curious, I feel like there's been a bit of a turning of the screw when it comes to Sora, at least in terms of public opinion, especially since, OpenAI went to Hollywood and let a bunch of them play with it, while the rest of us it sort of feels like it's like the cool kids table and then the rest of us. So let me know in the comments where you stand on Sora. And again, if you have not tried out Hyper, you should definitely give it a shot. It is totally free. We're also going to take a look at another video model that is coming up in just a minute. Quick admin note, I will be in Las Vegas for the NAB show, but more importantly, on April 15th, I will be at the Curious Refuge AI Filmmaking Mega Party. Aside from the party part, I will apparently also be judging the world's first AI esports tournament alongside Dave Clark, Shelby, and Caleb Ward from Curious Refuge. Dave and I are also going to be pulling an Oceans 2 on one of the casinos, but which one? There is also the party aspect of it, so if you happen to be at NAB or Las Vegas and you want to join in, you can grab tickets. The link is down below, and if you use the promo code TIM50, you get 50% off of your admission. And just as an FYI, that's not sponsored or anything. I just genuinely like hanging out with those guys. Moving on, you guys remember Emo? That was the emotive avatar talker. It kind of got rid of that sort of like bobbleheady avatar lip sync look. Well, now we have AniPortrait, which was inspired by Emo Talker, but takes a different path. So we do start off with a reference photo, but then drive that with a reference video and then output that for a final result, which does look pretty good. Now, an interesting use case for this comes from Visible Maker. Let's take a look at this real quick.
Anyway, no worries, my friend. I will find her at no time. Poor thing, probably just got lost after good night's drinking.
The workflow for this was that the character was originally created in Midjourney. It was then upscaled in Leonardo. Visible Maker himself is obviously in the bottom right corner. That's actually not his voice, though. He ended up using the audio from that, taking that over to 11 Labs speech to speech, generating the voice for the character that we heard. The green screen was then removed and replaced, and that sort of like jazzy, loungy soundtrack in the background was generated with Suno. You know me, I love a good kit bash. Made a whole video about it earlier this week. If you missed that, you can check it out. The link is down below. In terms of AniPortrait, this is available right now. The link is down below as well. Rounding out, we have a new video generator on the horizon called Higgsfield AI. You can file this one under like beta waitlist sign up alert. Not a whole lot of examples from it yet, but they just sort of surfaced out of stealth yesterday. Via a TechCrunch article, we do know that Alex Mashbaroff, the former head of AI at Snap, is sort of leading the charge on this. We also know that Higgsfield is running lean. It's a 16-person team that is running on a cluster of 32 GPUs. To overcome the hardware hump, Higgsfield plans to build an improved video editor that will allow users to modify characters and objects in videos and train a more powerful video generation model. I'm always a fan of lean and mean, so I've signed up. If you are interested, the link to sign up for the beta is down below as well. So there you go. Even a slow week in our AI world is a pretty packed one. And I've always noticed that if it's quiet for a little while, it just means that a flood of stuff is coming. So I guess I'll see you next week. Thank you for watching. My name is Tim.